Of motion. It's now 20, we can make a real good go at this. So the first motion, restoration of emergency general surgery, it will be proposed by Councillor Gannon, who will have 5 minutes, and then seconded by Councillor McPhillips, who will have 3 minutes. And that's that. We'll go now to Councillor Gannon.
Thank you, Chair. Thousands of patients and their families have had to be redirected to Altnagelvin as a result of the withdrawal of emergency general surgery from the South West Acute Hospital. At the time when this temporary change was being proposed, the Trust claimed tiny numbers would be impacted, but here we are with the number, and it is in the thousands. And that doesn't include anyone who's made the journey and judgment under their own steam to get there. So could well be many, many more people, Chair. Local industry and businesses have also expressed serious concerns over the past couple of years about just how long this redirection takes, and that they fear that something could happen and how this journey would impact if there was a workplace accident. And the time taken for travel is complicated and compounded further by the poor road infrastructure. Consider the recent announcement on the A5, which exacerbates potentially life-threatening travel time. And for most in Fermanagh, the main road, or the most direct route, is the road over Scrahy, which is not a comfortable road to go on at the best of times, let alone in the darkness of winter with someone howling in pain in the back of your car. And the withdrawal of emergency general surgery is most definitely cross-cutting. There is examples of how infrastructure plays into it, how economy and economic development takes into account here, but it also impacts agriculture in case of accident there, and the environment as well. Think of the thousands of journeys that have been made that previously wouldn't, and the pollution that would come from them, Chair. So it is truly a cross-cutting issue, and I think it's important to note that this motion comes at a time when permanent withdrawal of the service is being considered, and all at the same time as the RQIA recommendations not being fully implemented, which is a massive concern that the regulatory recommendations aren't being fully implemented prior to any further changes. And when the service was first removed, Chair, the Trust said they would restore emergency general surgery if a minister instructed them. That is there, it is clear for the public to see. And when we met with the Health Minister, he said it would not be appropriate for him to intervene on the matter. He refused to even consider putting together a plan to outline how a service could return. So we have a situation where the Trust won't act and the Minister won't act. And recently at a Save Our Acute Services public meeting around emergency general surgery, representatives of all parties attended, and the public asked them to get their party ministers to raise this in the executive, and there has been no action since. I believe plenty of time has passed since that public meeting to allow for this issue to be raised, and that's why I brought this motion tonight, is to try and continue to put pressure on bringing this issue to the executive. And let's just consider that that on many occasions fairly trivial matters have been pulled into the executive as cross-cutting issues on many occasions. Let's consider a recent example. A few Irish language signs at a bus station was pulled into the executive, something that has little impact on day-to-day life and would cause zero offence to any sensible individual. And obviously I greatly respect the Irish language, but if an item such as that can be discussed at the executive, a life and death issue such as this one is very much worthy of executive discussion and consideration, Chair. All parties are on the record as saying they want to see the return of emergency general surgery to SWA. But thus far, not one executive party has taken any real, substantive action to see it restored. This is a chance to rectify that. With permanent removal on the table,
5 minutes up.
It's-
Final comment, Adam, please.
I'll conclude by just saying the executive have the power to change something here, Chair, and I would encourage all parties to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. I go now to Councillor McPhillips.
Thank you very much, Chair. Again, I'll be brief, as Councillor Gannon has really said all there is in relation to the motion. But it's so disappointing that we are still in the fight to restore emergency general surgery to our hospital. As disappointing as that is, it's not surprising at the same time. The Trust makes these rash decisions and never thinks of the knock-on effects or the consequences. So, as the motion states as well, we all know since the withdrawal of the services, the amount of people in our district that has been majorly affected by the whole situation, having to face that journey to Altnagelvin in the process, simply not good enough. We're very lucky to have the hospital that we have, and it is an excellent hospital. I know all too well after my short stay last year. And with such a great hospital and great staff and facilities, we should be looking to add facilities instead of stripping them away. So the restoration of emergency general surgery is a must, and the fight to restore it will continue. So I'm happy to second the motion, Chair.
Okay, thanks very much, Garvin. Move now to Rosemary, to Councillor Barton.
Thank you, Chair. I want to open firstly by paying tribute to all the staff that work in the South West Acute Hospital and across the health and social care system in Fermanagh and Omagh. And if I could start on a confident note, I'm delighted that the SWA is delivering at the present time more elective procedures and treatments now than ever before. That is a good news story. But the removal of emergency general surgery in late 2022 was hugely concerning, and fundamental issues over processes, patient pathways and patient safety in those time-critical life and limb-preserving situations still remain, unfortunately. Whilst progress has been made, there was still scope for the Trust to have gone further and faster on securing a greater surgical presence on the site, particularly during out of hours. They could have increased their capacity there. I welcome the publication of the RQI review earlier this year, but unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be any great urgency on the implementation of many of these recommendations. We all know of the Trust Board meeting, which is planned for later this week, and indeed we await to hear what will come from that. I spoke with the Minister only yesterday, and at that point, he still had not been told what the Trust were planning, doing, or going to say at that meeting. If this is a proposal to start a launch of public consultation on a permanent change, I feel the Trust have once again failed the public and failed staff locally by approaching the whole issue so shambolically. And whilst I had hoped the Trust would have learned from their previous mistakes, it appears as if they haven't. But equally, we as public representatives have an obligation to hold the Trust and everyone else to account for their decisions. We have mechanisms to do that, and one of those is through our subcommittee on the health. I sit in that committee, and whilst it's not without its frustrations, I was shocked by the recent comments that some councillors that they found it a waste of time. But then I rarely, if ever, see Cll Gannon attend those or any of those meetings or even send an apology. And whenever I asked the Minister yesterday how many letters or emails he had received from Cll Gannon, he couldn't recall a single one. I want to see emergency general surgery restored, and I hope that it's not the outcome of Thursday's meeting. But if it is, then we as a community will need to effectively engage with this process. Thank you.
Okay, a good timekeeping. Thank you, Councillor Barton. Okay, move to Councillor Roof.
Thank you, Chair. I thank Councillor Gannon and Councillor McPhillips for bringing this motion forward. We at the Lions Party will be supporting the motion. The restoration of emergency general surgery at SWA remains as important now as it was when it was initially removed. We have time and time again seen examples of patients being directed to Altnagelvin and suffering a double wait across both A&E departments, let alone the suffering inflicted whilst travelling a poor road to the hospital in the first place. Currently, the number of general surgeons employed across Northern Ireland does not meet the needs to reduce waiting list times. Therefore, the restoration of emergency general surgery and the use of 2 unused operating theatres is an incredible opportunity to restore parity of healthcare coverage across Northern Ireland, whilst also bringing waiting lists down. It has long been clear that the Western Trust has no desire to restore emergency general surgery at SWA. But it is infuriating to hear Councillor Barton to try and lump all responsibility upon the Western Trust tonight. Their decision making can be influenced and should be influenced by policy decisions from the Health Minister, and the buck stops at his door at the end of the day. I have repeatedly called upon the Health Minister to direct the Western Trust to request them to create a detailed plan of what the restoration of emergency general surgery at SWA looks like. This so far has fallen on deaf ears with both Minister Swan and now Minister Nesbitt, who, when confronted with my request to formulate a plan for restoration, chose to ignore the question outright and left the meeting early instead. The direct impact that infrastructure has on the health outcomes of patients in Fermanagh mean that this indeed is a cross-cutting issue, and therefore I welcome the suggestion that this is discussed at the executive table. This should be an apolitical decision which benefits each and every person in our district. I hope the executive take the opportunity to do so. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Councillor Coyle.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, we will be supporting this motion, and it's regrettable that the Western Trust is planning a consultation to permanently remove the emergency surgical services from SWA. If this does happen, there could be significant consequences for our citizens, including the increased travel times, potential delays in treatment, and risk to patient outcomes. There'd be a strain on other hospitals that are already under enough pressure, and it could also undermine the sustainability of other acute services at SWA, such as our ED, maternity, stroke, ward, etc. So I think I would encourage people to get behind any campaign and definitely complete the consultation that I believe is coming out shortly, and we will be supporting the motion.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Moving on to Councillor Deehan.
Thank you, Chair, and I want to commend Councillor Gannon and Councillor McPhillips on bringing forward this motion, which I support. As a healthcare professional in this district council area, no one would be gladder than myself to see the restoration of emergency general surgery at the South West Acute Hospital. We were informed that this was a temporary suspension owing to a variety of factors, none of which really has been adequately addressed by the Trust, and the most significant of which is the ability of the Trust to recruit consultant general surgeons to work in the South West Acute Hospital. So there are significant obstacles to the restoration of that service, but I think we have yet to see the Trust make concerted efforts to address those obstacles. It has been too long that this service has been suspended, and our constituents have suffered. And I think that the people of Derry and Strabane have also suffered because of over-congestion in the A&E department. We know in the media recently the scandal of the length of time that ill patients are having to wait in the emergency departments throughout Northern Ireland, and Altnagelvin Area Hospital, sadly, is no different. Not only that, they do not have the space or facilities to accommodate the numbers of patients who need to be seen in the emergency department. And we have debated within this chamber, Chair, the issue of whether patients who attend ED in South West Acute Hospital and get transferred to the emergency department in Altnagelvin, whether they can go straight to a ward or have to go to ED. But unfortunately, it remains the case that each case is assessed on its own merits, and many of our constituents are having to wait long hours in ED in Altnagelvin before their needs are attended to. So I do think it's right that some pressure should be brought to bear on government to have this situation addressed as a matter of urgency. And it does affect so many aspects of this district council area, mainly health, obviously, and well-being, but also, as others have said, our ability to attract businesses and entrepreneurs into our area, where they have to be assured that they have access to
please, Josephine.
a first-class health service. So I support the motion, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Green.
Yeah, I was coming in to I felt again sorry for Councillor Gannon when Councillor Barton was giving him the touch about not turning up at meetings and that. And I suppose there was a stat that came to me mind when I was thinking of this. There was a previous consultation around this that the Western Health and Social Care Trust produced the results of it, and of all of the ones that replied to the consultation, the Ulster Unionist Party didn't, the DUP didn't, the SDLP didn't, the Alliance Party didn't, but Sinn Féin did. And I just thought I'd throw that out. So when this consultation's out, it might be good to encourage everyone and every political party to do that. This was a published consultation replies, and every party was missing in action. And if anyone is countering that, that's the facts.
Okay. Can I just say, I have to go now to Councillor Gannon, because members have had their contribution as per standing orders. So I have got to go now to Councillor Gannon for his summon. I don't think there is a point of accuracy, point of order perhaps. And which standing order are you referencing your point of order against? I'm duty bound to do this. Okay, is there a standing order relating to accuracy? Okay, there isn't, so I'm going to have to go to Councillor Gannon. Can be dealt with at another time, no doubt. But Councillor Gannon, you have 3 minutes to sum up.
Thank you, Chair. Initially, I was shocked when Councillor Green said he felt sorry for me, but he made sure to get a barb in there. For the record, Councillor Green, the SDLP signed the CFR Acute Services response, which unfortunately, despite the tens of thousands of responses, the Trust decided to count as one and discount every single individual name and organisation that signed them, which we did. And I hope they wouldn't do the same in a future consultation. And I note Councillor Barton's points about not attending the meetings. Unfortunately, we're not all retired like Councillor Barton, and some of us cannot attend daytime meetings. And you know what? I find it incredulous and difficult to believe that the Minister has not been told what was happening, because his own MLA for the area and all MLAs for the area were told yesterday exactly what was happening. I have the email that shows the brief that was sent to them and saying that there's going to be an all-party group meeting on Friday to discuss the move to permanent withdrawal. But then again, I don't find it hard to believe that the Minister wasn't aware, because given his attitude in this chamber, I don't think he cares one damn bit about it, Chair. And, you know, maybe he should spend a bit of time being on top of his brief rather than wrongly informing Councillor Barton that he did not know what was going on and it hasn't been spread, Chair, because I've seen it. I would like to think the Minister has seen it too. But with that, Chair, I would like to thank Councillors Kim in support of this. With permanent removal on the table, it's time to actually do something rather than endless lip service or saying it's not our department and not our responsibility. The executive have power and can change this, and action is needed, and all parties have said they want to see this restored. So hopefully all parties will come to the executive table and bring forward, at the very least, a pathway to its restored. It won't happen overnight, but there is a potential pathway that could be at the very least mapped, Chair. And I'm encouraged by some of the parties here coming in and supporting this motion. Hopefully we'll see their ministers act in line with what the motion proposes, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Gannon. Now, there isn't any dissent, is my belief, in the chamber. So I'm going to anticipate that the motion as proposed and seconded has the agreement of this council. Is that agreed, members? Agreed. Thank you very much. Now, we'll move on.